So I just bought this 2-year-old trailer off of Facebook Marketplace. This trailer is the only trailer Dad and me have ever used. My dad bought this back in the financial crisis of '08, and I figured it was time for me to get my own trailer and maybe search for a little bit of an upgrade. Ever since I was 12 years old, this is the only trailer that I have ever used. My dad also. It's sentimental to us, and we're gonna keep it around and still use it. But this is the truck I brought my '56 Cadillac home on, countless other cars, every other car you've seen on the channel we've brought home on this trailer. It has done a lot of work for us for a lot of years. So let's compare the old one versus the new one and then see what this one needs to get up to snuff to be put into battle. I'm really proud of this. There's a lot of reasons that I wanted this trailer. So this trailer is an 18-foot steel deck trailer, and it is a 7,000-pound trailer. So it's got two 3,500-pound axles on it with like normal car tires. So the gross weight this can hold is about 6,000 pounds, 7,000. You kind of start getting shaky. And this one has two 8,000-pound axles, so 16,000-pound trailer, 12,600-pound payload, so you could put 12,600 pounds on it. And this one has a 20-foot deck instead of an 18-foot deck. And the real magic behind this one, this is the feature I really wanted. Gravity tilt deck. You don't have to use ramps. After years and years of getting those heavy ramps out from underneath, bending your back, putting them on the back of the trailer, moving them back and forth to fit the tire and everything, you know, and then putting the ramps back in. I mean, it's a hassle. I mean, it ends up being a hassle. Every once in a while, we'll buy forklifts to resell. The wheels are kind of small, so the ramps will not work for some of the forklifts we pick up. The only way to get the forklift on the trailer is to literally drive it on there. There's really not a lot of clearance. They don't have big tires. The tilt aspect, the getting rid of the ramps aspect, the weight that it's able to haul aspect, just convenient features like the wheel bearings. This is traditional where you have to take it off and grease the wheel bearings and like a car, you know. But this one's got like those easy lube axles where you can pop this cap off and the grease cert is right here, and you can grease the axles without even having to take the tire off, which is, I mean, more than efficient. That is just genius. I love that. And trailer brakes. We've never had trailer brakes. This one has trailer brakes, and they work. I mean, this is like going from horse and buggy to air conditioning for me. One feature I thought this had that it didn't is a lot of trailers will have that gravity tilt deck dampener feature, but with the cylinder, there's two plugs on it, and some of them have a ball valve right here, so you can lock the cylinder in a certain position, right? Because one of my worries actually is that if you tilt the cylinder up, you start putting a car on it and the weight shifts, I'm worried the deck is going to start tilting down before you get the back wheels on, you know what I mean? So I might add that check ball feature. I also need to add a winch, which trailers, they normally don't come with winches anyway, so that's just kind of a given. And the only thing that I don't like about this trailer is the wood deck. I don't know why all trailers don't come with steel decks. Wood just doesn't last. This is a 2022 trailer, and look at the wood. It's splinting, it's bowing, it's cracking. Look at that, which I like the steel deck better. It's just much more durable. We're gonna test this tilt deck out right now. So Dad's first gen extended cab long bed has a pretty good sized wheelbase to try it out with. See if the deck tries to come up before the truck's on it. Stop, yeah. Yeah, stop, stop. Go back. Yeah, it's coming up. That's exactly what I was afraid of. Yeah. I need that check ball. Kind of smells like tranny fluid, not even hydraulic fluid. Is there red hydraulic fluid? I don't know. And I bought a few things for it. The first thing I got was this Badland 9,500 pound winch from Harbor Freight. Gonna go right there. And I got some of this weatherproof stain sealer penetrating oil. So we're gonna seal this up and protect it from the elements, although I'm gonna put steel on top. So it's just an added layer of protection to make this wood last as long as possible, because wood just does not last out here. So we're gonna give it a little bit of protection before we put the steel over the top. And I got this check ball. It's not really a kit. I went down to American Hose and Rubber here in Tucson and had them make me this up. I took the plug out of the one of the ports on the cylinder, so there's those two plugs, and I had them make me up something that would fit in that hole but give me the ball valve. So these screw into the two ports on the cylinder, and we're going to have hoses that are going to run over to here. I got the steel, so this is 14 gauge 4x10 sheets. I got 4 of them. "76 inches. Get out my handy dandy plasma cutter. I love this thing. I love this thing a lot. One of my favorite tools. Guess I didn't cut all the way through this one. Seeing what it looks like. If I even cut it right. Yeah, I like that. I'm liking that. Can you imagine this whole nasty looking deck, just clean, beautiful white diamond plate? It's gonna look so good. So yeah, you see how I cut it? I didn't cut it the full length because I didn't want to be trying to weld in this crease. I wanted it flat. So I cut it to where it's halfway on the channel on this side and halfway on the channel on this side. So I can just get a good bite, and just tack it and stuff. I'm not going to weld it like all the way around like a solid bead. There's no need. I'll just like do a little line, little line, little line. Because if you ever need to take it off or, service the wood, you don't want to be grinding off an entire rectangle of weld. That'd be a nightmare. Plus, all it needs to do is lay flat. It just needs to lay flat, stay on, and not fly off the trailer. So it'll be good. It'll look great too. Gosh, this is so good. Love this is the answer. I'm telling you, this is the answer. Super stoked. So I got all these pieces laid out. I'm gonna paint the underside of them and then paint the upper side. But I gotta do some more cutting. I have to cut this right here so that it'll fit evenly with the end of the wood on the trailer. And then I have these pieces that came off of these that I marked out, and I'm gonna cut, and there's 4 squares that are gonna fit on the stationary part of the deck. Okay, so all the steel is cut to size, and off camera I did a bunch of grinding on all the edges where I cut because that plasma cutter creates a lot of slag, you know. I don't think you guys need to see that. It's pretty boring. I'm gonna take some CRC brake clean, and if you don't already use CRC brake clean or CRC products, you really should. They make great stuff, and they're nice enough to partner with the channel and send me some of their product to use. You can pick it up anywhere in the United States. Been using it since I was 12 years old anyway. Why don't we just do that? It's pretty efficient, right? Give it a little wipe. I still have a bunch of oil-based paint that I used for my Amlico sign a few episodes ago that I put up. So paint the underside white. All that dirt. Once we coat the trailer deck, we'll put the steel on face up, and then we can weld the steel together and paint the top white. I mean, I just got this steel, yesterday from the metal supply place. Came perfectly good, never touched sheets. They always have like a film on them, which is no big deal. Whoa. What the heck? Alright, all the steel is coated. It's got 2 coats on it, and it's looking pretty good. Now I'm going to blow this deck off, and I got some, what do you call it? I got that sealer over there. We'll crack open, we'll coat the deck, give it however many coats I feel, 1, 2. All right, deck is clean. Oh, okay, all right. Cool. I guess that's all right. What would be the difference if you brushed it? I don't know. of... So it's the next day. Everything's had time to dry overnight. Let that wood sealer soak into the bed. I think one coat was really enough, actually, because after I got done, I could see like some wet spots where it hadn't soaked in, and you can still see sort of a wet spot there. So that kind of tells me that it took up everything it needed to. Plus, it's not going to be exposed to the sun anyway. I'm just kind of doing it to make the wood last as long as humanly possible so that I don't ever have to deal with it. And it soaked up a good 3/4 of a gallon actually doing that. So I think 3/4 of a gallon is good. And this dried overnight. It's not tacky to the touch. Yesterday when I went in it was. Now it's good. It's going to be face down anyway, but that dude rolling that with a paint roller did great. Look at it. There's no runs in it. I mean, dude, I don't even know if it would have came out better if I had sprayed it with a gun, you know, and got the mask out and the paint gun and the air hose and blah. I mean, that's even reflective. Pretty good. Came out pretty nice. I'm happy with that, even though no one's ever going to see it. But it's kind of a telltale of what's going to look like on the upside, because we're going to do the same thing to the side facing up. But wow. And it was fast. Rolling that on with a paint roller, man, that was quick. So I got another gallon of white. So what I want to do now is set all the steel on the deck. Set these 4 on the stationary, set these other pieces on the tilt part, and get them where I want them, and then weld everything in place, and then we'll paint the top. All right, getting these up here is going to be a little tricky because even though they're cut down, they're still pretty friggin' heavy, actually. Got everything pieced where I want it. I went ahead and grinded down areas where I'm going to weld. Put a line here, here, you know, all the way down, kind of in even spurts. I got it grinded down to metal. And then I'll probably put some welds here, probably right there, because whenever you put stuff on it, it's going to flex there. So I'll kind of weld it there, wherever I feel like, you know, I'm just playing it by ear. Once everything is welded, we can throw a little paint job on this thing. Get our argon cranked up. This was on there when I bought it. I bought all of this stuff from Facebook Marketplace, but this welder, whoever shop I got it from, I guess his name was Travis, and so I thought it was a match made in heaven, and this was the exact welder I was looking for. So yeah, kind of cool. Never even had to write my name on it. I wanted this welder specifically because it's pretty good in size, and it's 110 and 220. A lot of welders are either 110 or 220, but this one, this little magic box, can do both. And I only have a 220 plug over there, and the cord that comes off of it is not long enough. And since we're not doing super thick metal, I was able to pull it forward and just plug it into 110. So that's the beauty of having a 110/220 welder. So I started with the stationary part of the deck, welding it around the perimeter, and then welding it in the middle of the seams where I thought it might curve up or bend up when you try and put something on. I actually made a mistake here and had to cut the weld out and then re-weld it because I had them offset, off-center. I didn't realize it moved. Then I went around the perimeter of the tilt part and then went in the middle of the seams to keep everything as flat as possible. We're looking pretty good. I'm liking what I'm seeing. Welded everything around the perimeter, there, everywhere where I grinded out, all the way down the side. along the back, all the way up. I even put some welds in the middle of some of these seams to stop them from, like, they'll fold over each other, you know, when you put something heavy here, it'll fold down. So just to try and keep everything even, welded it in the middle there, just laid some beads down evenly around the whole thing where I felt it might need it. Now it looks nice and even. It's all steel, no more wood. I like it a lot. I'm really happy with this so far. Now what we're gonna do, I got my extendo stick right here. We're gonna open up these cans of paint. I think I'm gonna finish off one and start on the other, and we'll roll the whole thing on. Use up the rest of that can. So the steel deck has been drying overnight. I am extremely ecstatic with how it came out. It looks so good. Man, it looks better than the wood, and it's more functional than the wood. I literally do not know why every trailer pretty much comes standard with wood deck. I think wood is basically stupid. It doesn't even make any sense. Over the life of the trailer, you're going to spend so much money replacing the wood. You know, I didn't put the steel on it just to be extra and fancy. Like, it's functional. I don't know about the rest of the country. You may have problems with wood decks going bad because of the moisture and everything, but here you have problems with wood going bad because of the heat. The heat and the sun just destroys wood. I mean, I don't care what you do. You would have to maintain it all the time to protect it. Like, you would have to keep coating it and coating it and coating it all the time. And this, you don't have to do anything to it. It's on. It'll last for I don't even know how long. But I'll tell you two quick stories why I know this was necessary to do to prevent myself from future maintenance is because I got a buddy who has a trailer just like this, almost verbatim, same trailer, tilt deck, had wood, everything, and it wasn't very old, you know, 5 years old maybe or something like that. And he put a forklift on it, totally within the capacity of the trailer, strapped it down, and he was driving, and then he looked in his rearview mirror and he saw like the forklift was like cockeyed on the trailer. Scared the living daylights out of him, you know, because it looked like it was tipping over. So he pulls over, and sure enough, there was a big hole. The tire put a big hole in the deck of the trailer. That wood just busted. So he took the wood out and put steel in it. And then the guy I got this trailer from, he had a trailer sitting right next to this one when I went to pick it up, which was the trailer he bought to replace this one, actually. It was a longer one. It was a tilt deck, wood deck on it. It was newer than this one. And he put a piece of equipment on it, and there was a hole right in the wood. It busted right through the wood. I don't even know how they're getting away with making wood deck trailers. I mean, it doesn't last. It just does not work. Steel was the way to go for longevity, for functionality, and for use. I know I'm talking forklifts. I don't haul. I do a lot of cars. I don't do a lot of forklifts. But sometimes you get a piece of equipment. Sometimes there's really good deals on forklifts that you find. Sometimes we have needed to haul forklifts. And the issue with forklifts are a lot of the times they're what you call solid tire. They're not air-up tires like a car, you know, like rubber, and it's fat and it distributes the weight. A lot of forklifts are solid tire where there's no air in them and the tires are kind of small. Forklifts are really, really heavy and the tires are small, so you have a lot of weight of the forklift on a really small area on the tire. And all that weight concentrated is what breaks the wood. So you might be thinking, well, Travis, you didn't do anything because there's still wood underneath there. It's going to break. Well, for one, the steel is going to protect the wood because there's not going to be any sun on it, so it'll last longer. And two, the steel acts sort of like a big washer. So if you do put something heavy on there with concentrated weight, the steel is going to soak up and distribute some of that weight so it's not all concentrated on the wood. There's two other things I want to do to this trailer before it's really ready for work. So for mounting this winch, they don't give you any kind of a template for the bolt hole pattern at the bottom, so I had to get this cardboard out, mark it out, marked it right directly in the center where I wanted it. The holes are drilled. I went and got some hardware. Now I'm going to try and do this without totally messing up my brand new deck. Got the winch bolted on. I had to waller out the holes a little bit, but got them in, got some fender washers on them, spaced them out. They're good. I put the little top hat box on, the little controller box, got the little boots on them and everything, and then the positive and negative cable there. So what I want to do now, since I have extra steel, I'm going to make a little hat for the winch. I'm going to put a plate right there that kind of comes over it, gives it some shade, and I'm going to put a piece here just to keep some of the rain and the sun off it, because it's going to bake those cables. It's going to dry it out, take the color out. This plastic right here, I give it 2 years. So this plasma cutter, I bought it maybe like 8 months or a year ago. I bought it a while ago from this guy on Facebook, and he contacted me and he was like, hey man, I watch your videos. I found some more stuff for that plasma cutter cleaning out my shop. I found some consumables and I found like a straight edge for it. And I've actually been wanting something like this, and I didn't even know they made it. This little thing with wheels, you put it on the head and it helps you cut in a straight line. So it keeps your depth even, so you're not doing this, and it helps you cut in a straight line. So I'm excited to use this thing. Wow, I gotta say, that is the attachment I really needed for this thing. That did great. Oh, that's so much better than freehanding it. Compared to these, doing it by hand with no roller, you know you're just shaking like that the whole time. So that is such a big upgrade, and it makes it go faster too. Oh yeah, that's night and day difference. I love that little piece. Yeah. It's just a little something, you know, a little something, something. Oh yeah, that is freaking professional right there. I'll just hit these with some white spray paint. This isn't really a big area. Don't need to get the roller out, and plus I'm out of that oil-based roll-on paint anyway, so I don't want to go get more. Last night I finished up painting these on both sides. They've been drying overnight. I'm going to weld those on soon. Today I want to work on the hydraulics on this thing, see if I can figure out a way to mount this, route the hoses, bleed this somehow, and get it working. But before that, I want to do one last thing to the deck of this trailer. I had an idea. Some of these trailers, the winch cable is going to be going over this when it's up, and it's just going to be dragging on that metal. I was thinking of welding like a little plate there to protect it, but I had a better idea. So these winches come with these, but I never use these on trailers. People, I think, more use them when they put them on the front of their Jeeps and stuff, and they have to like winch around a tree or something. It's not always straight, but when I'm winching stuff on it, it's almost always straight on it. So I never use these. Okay, I got my holes drilled. There you go. Now it can just sit in there, and you can put your winch wire over it, pull whatever up on there, and it'll roll over this instead of hurting the deck. Then when you don't need it, just take it right off, put it in the toolbox, and keep rolling. So I got the trailer hooked to the truck. I got it out here in the rocks, out in the open. I put the back wheels on some bricks to try and get the rear of this thing higher than it should be, because I'm going to try and attempt to bleed these hydraulics. So I got everything mounted up, got the lines in, got them held up there, cut the hole for my valve, made a little mounting bracket and welded it to the ball valve, put a bolt through it. So now you can close it, open it. But we got to figure out a way to bleed this, and how you bleed it, this is what I'm going to try to do. You got to get the trailer where you can operate it all the way down and all the way up to its like maximum travel. So I got to get the rear of it high enough to where when I let it down, it goes all the way without hitting the ground. That's how you know you're getting every bit of travel out of the cylinder so that you can bleed every bit of air out. So red fluid came out of the cylinder, and I read that sometimes they use tranny fluid in hydraulic cylinders, and I'm just going to use some ATF. So what I'm going to do is get that valve down out of there, maybe cut the top of that off, put both open ends down in there, open this up, and just work it back and forth, and I see if it bleeds, you know. I don't know what else to do. The only procedures I found online were trailers that already had like a little reservoir in there and a three-way valve, and I don't have that. Everything tight except these two lines. This one goes to one side of the cylinder and this one goes to the other side. So in theory, as you work the trailer up and down, you know, one side will create a vacuum, suck fluid up, one will be pushing air out, then you move it the other way, it should be pushing air out, sucking up. It should eventually work the air out, right? Right. Let's see if we undo this, what happens with the trailer deck if it comes crashing down. I don't know. I'm gonna sit on it. It should be pretty evenly balanced, even with no cylinder action, you know, no dampening. It should be pretty even, one would think. That's how they design them. This ain't bad at all. Let's see if we bottom out before we hit the ground. We bottomed out. Dude, I calculated that just right. We're like an inch from the ground. Close, but not touching. That is perfect. See, when I operated it, it still had some in it and it pushed it out. But now if you go the other way, it'll suck air in. So we have to eliminate the air by making sure both of these are down in the fluid. There's some tension on that hose. That's one thing I was worried about, was how I routed it. I see a lot of bubbles. So over the last day or two, I've had some issues bleeding this trailer and getting it to work right, but I finally knocked it out. And the issue was this ram or hydraulic cylinder was originally just supposed to be a damper. And no matter what I did to try and bleed it out, it would never stop acting like a damper. What the issue ended up being was there was fluid being allowed to pass internally inside the cylinder somewhere, even if I had the valve off. And so I had to take the cylinder off, take the cylinder apart, and actually it looks like a piston and a rod. And there was a hole, just like a small hole drilled in the piston so that fluid could go from one end to the other, you know, not fast, but it could still travel. And that is what was stumping me. So once I welded that hole up, then fluid could not go from one end to the other without that valve being open. Once I did that, put it back together, and bled it, it started working. So right now it's in the closed position. This is in the open position. And coming over here, another thing I did real quick was I got like a little steel battery mount from the local parts store, welded it on there, put this on there so I can just have a battery here for the winch, and so, you know, it's just a little bit of a convenience feature. Also got some load binders. So the trailer is officially done. After about a week's worth of work, I think I have it where I want it. Got the steel deck put on it, got the steel deck painted, got the wood deck sealed up underneath, got a 9,500 pound winch on it, mounted up, a little hat awning for the winch, battery tray, battery just to make life easy, and finally the hydraulic system is worked out. So the last thing to do is test it with a truck and see if it works, because we got to know it works if we're going to use it in the field. It goes down, boom. Make sure it's up all the way. Okay, valve is closed. We should be able to drive a truck on it and it should not go down. Let's try the biggest, longest, baddest, fattest, ugliest truck I have. There it is. Works like a charm. Didn't give an inch. Beautiful, I love it. That's that. So in the beginning of the video, I mentioned my dad bought this in the financial crisis of '08. You guys remember the Great Recession. A lot of people do, some people don't. I was about 10 years old when it happened, and I remember my dad talking about it a lot. Not from the standpoint of him having problems, but from the standpoint of him saying all the time, I don't know how people are affording these houses. People are living way above their means, and you know, sure enough, things kind of came crashing down. So I heard a lot about it, and I witnessed it a lot, the Great Recession, and I remember a lot about it. But I wasn't doing much work on cars at the time. My dad was. So anyway, my dad used to have a work van. He worked on forklifts. He'd drive around in a work van going to different businesses fixing their forklifts. Well, this was kind of in the throes of the '08 debacle when things were going downhill fast and people were kind of scared. My dad was driving one day and he saw this trailer and he saw a guy sitting next to it, and he stops and goes up to him and said, "What's going on with this trailer?" The guy says, "I have got to sell everything I own. I've got to get out of here today. I have to sell this trailer today because I've got to go." My dad said, you know, "What do you want for the trailer?" And he said, $800. So my dad gave him the $800 and came back later, and he's been using it for the last 17 years. And man, it shows it, man. It's a workhorse. We're not getting rid of this or anything, but man, it is a workhorse and it will still be used. It's been a very, very useful trailer. It doesn't owe us a dime. It's seen a lot of weird places, hauled things that were a little bit too heavy for it, and it's just been a great money maker, you know. And at this point, it's basically a historical document of my life in the channel. There's so many pictures of me picking up cars, and this is the trailer that's in every one of the pictures. So just thought that was an interesting tidbit you guys might like to know. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching, like always, and we will see you in the next one.